Good morning. Please do come in. It's good to see everyone making their way into our virtual chapel. Welcome to all of you who are joining us, whether here from Toronto or from around North America, or those joining us on the YouTube, whether live or on replay. It's wonderful to have all of you here and be part of our community. Good morning, Annette. And good morning to all who are with us this morning as we join together on this Erev Shabbat on this Friday morning, December the 6th, in order to make this day a meaningful one. Good morning to Anita. Good morning to Joni. Your sister says hello. She was at the 7:30 service. Good morning, Annette, and good morning, Sulang and Seymour. Boker Tov to one and all. It's very meaningful to be here together as we get ready for this Shabbat. We're pleased, in addition to that tonight, we have a meditative service available in person and streamed online at 6:30. If you've missed spending Erev Shabbat in our beautiful chapel at 6:30, please come join us. And likewise, tomorrow morning, we have a beautiful Shabbat morning service, which will include words by Mark Sandler, the founding head of ALCA, of the Alliance of Canadians Combating Anti-Semitism, in whose coalition Temple Sinai is proud to be a founding partner. So to one and all, Boker Tov, welcome to Boker Tov from Temple Sinai Congregation of Toronto's daily opportunity to connect, to reflect, and to remember. Thank you for being here with us this morning as we prepare for Shabbat. Good morning, Anne and Eleanor and Sandra and everyone else who's joined us. Good morning, Gloria. And let's join together, just showing gratitude for sleeping and waking. Please join me in Hebrew and English. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar et ha'adam bechokma, ubra'avo nekavim nekavim, chalulim chalulim, galui v'yadua lifnei chisech vodecha, shim yipatech echad mehem, o yisatem echad mehem, אי אפשר להתקיים ולעמוד לפניך. ברוך אתה, אדוני, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. Blessed eternal God, creator of the universe, you have fashioned our bodies with wisdom, creating within us a finely balanced network. To stand before you in prayer is itself a fragile miracle. Eternal God, we praise you as the healer of body and spirit. Even though the soul does need healing, because it is dynamic, there is, in a deep sense, a purity of the spirit within us. It is a bit of the divine breath with us and helping make our days each both real and timely, but also eternal. The soul that you have given me, O God, is a pure one. You have created and formed it, breathed it into me, and within me you sustain it. So long as my soul is within me, I will give thanks to you, eternal my God and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. We praise you, eternal God, in whose hand is the power of all life and the spirit of all flesh. Well, good morning, body, soul, and mind. Torah and Torah study is not merely the mind, but involves all of those, because Torah study is not a learning experience like we would have in a university classroom, although that can be very meaningful as well, but rather it is the kind of intense whole self commitment and learning that enables us not just to take in our tradition, but to help continue to create it. In that spirit, please join me in these words of prayer for the obligation of learning. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Va'arevna Adonai Eloheinu את דברי תורתך בפינו ובפי עמך בית ישראל, ונהיה אנחנו וצאצאינו וצאצאי עמך בית ישראל, כולנו יודעי שמך, ולומדי תורתך לשמה. ברוך אתה אדוני, המלמד תורה לעמו ישראל. אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור. These are the obligations whose value cannot be measured. They nourish us in this world and help us to create the world to come. Kibud av va'em, to honor fathers and mothers. Ugmilut chasadim, to perform acts of love and kindness. Ashkamat ber midrash, shacharit v'yarvit, to attend the house of study, morning and evening. V'achnasat orchim, to welcome the stranger. Uvikul cholim, to visit the sick. V'achnasat kala, to provide for brides and grooms. Ulavayat hamet, to keep faith with the dead. V'iyun tfilah, to pray with sincerity. V'hava'at shalom ben adam l'chavero, to make peace when there is strife. V'talmud Torah keneged kulam, and the study of Torah is equal to them all. Well, on this Erev Shabbat, let us continue to show our gratitude for the journey of each week, of what this week was, as it's coming to an end, a wonderful conclusion with the beauty of Shabbat. So please, let's join together in Baruch She'amar and then recite our prayer of journeys, Psalm 121. Baruch She'amar v'haya ha'olam. Blessed is the one who speaks that we might listen. Blessed is the one who acts that we might be witnesses. Baruch Hu u'Baruch Shemo. Blessed is the one who decides that we might accept. Blessed is the one who has mercy that we might live. Baruch She'amar v'haya ha'olam. Blessed is the one who removes the darkness that we might see. Blessed is the one who lives forever that we might believe. Blessed is the one who saves and delivers that we might be redeemed. So let's continue with Shir Ma'alot, this song of going upward, of ascent. Esainai el heharim. I will look only upward, past the mountains, for my help comes from the one beyond. My help comes from the eternal maker of heaven and earth. Ever alert, your guardian will never allow your foot to stumble. The guardian of Israel never rests, never sleeps. The eternal will watch over you as a shadow cast by your right hand. You will not be overcome by the sun nor abandoned by the moon. The eternal will guard you from all evil, watching over you. The eternal will guard you as you set out and as you return from this very moment until the end of time. Now let's recite together Shema Yisrael, these words of not only unity but unification, these words that bring us together, that really represent that prayer seen in so many places in our liturgy, that say that just like God is one and connects all, and brings all together, so may we be one within ourselves, with our people, and with others, especially those who share the core values that make for a society that focuses on life and hope and respect. Please join me in Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha. V'ayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'divarta bam. V'shivtecha b'vetecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha. Ugshaaltam laot al yadecha, vayu letotafot ben enecha. Uchtavtam al mezuzot betecha, uvish orecha. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael ve'amarta alehem, ve'asu lahem tzitzit, al kanfei vigdehem ledorotam. V'natnu al tzitzit akanaf patil techelet, V'hayalachem letzitzit, uritem oto. Uzchartem et kol mitzvot Adonai, v'asitem otam. ולא תטו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Well, good morning to one and all. It's wonderful to be here together this morning. I always find it very meaningful for us to have this opportunity to be here together and in many ways strengthening, uplifting. And yet on Friday mornings, as I said in Shul this morning too, when I tend to focus my words on a view out into the larger world, the messages sometimes leave us less than uplifted, shall we say. It's a difficult time and difficult to look out at things. And so I don't want to make sure not to have you go into Shabbat depressed on my account. So I will share something about that I saw, about which I have significant concerns, but I want to share with you something that's a little more uplifting as well. Well, you probably heard already, painful to say, that yesterday in Australia, in Melbourne, the suburbs thereof, though the distance makes what day and what time more difficult, but yesterday there was an act of arson against an Orthodox synagogue in Melbourne, Australia. Sounds like a synagogue of a significant size. It certainly was a significant event with the premier of that part of Australia and the Prime Minister coming out with very forceful, sad but true statements about the obviously hateful anti-Semitic nature of an act of an arson against a synagogue. An act that took place while there were people in the building, and that caused enormous amounts of damage. And I was grateful for the strong statements of Australian politicians. But of course, I found out about this event through the Times of Israel, a news source that's primarily about Israeli events and some Jewish events. Why? Because other than the National Post, which focuses quite responsibly and consistently on events that affect our community, our Jewish community, no other, up to the time of beginning this stream this morning, no other Canadian news outlet has had a single comment even acknowledging that the event took place. I've seen reports on news outlets from around the world. And the fact that the CBC and all other Canadian news outlets other than the National Post have failed to so much as report this event tells us a couple different things. Maybe it tells us, certainly not least of all, that we've moved into a world where the firebombing of a synagogue, the act of arson against the Jewish community, is not regarded as a major news event, as being outside of the painful, expected cycle of events. After all the major political forces in Australia and beyond have made statements about this significant event. And again, I mentioned the CBC. Of course, the level of prejudice within the CBC is quite obvious to those of us looking with an eye for the needs of our community at what they report and what they do not, especially considering that they offered a report more recent than the statement, not just the fire, but then the statements of the Australian Prime Minister, of mountain climbers in New Zealand, 3 of them, who are missing and presumed to be lost. That is a sad event. At the same time, it shows us that CBC knows where Australasia is, and is aware of events that happen there. And the lack of reporting there on all other Canadian platforms is shocking in one way, and painfully come to be not a surprise. That we're accustomed to the kind of bias that exists against Jews and against against anyone associated in any way with Israel, even just by being a member of the Jewish community. And so I think this speaks to the lack of interest of such news outlets to tell a story clear and consistent, where at this time there's no other angle and no other narrative and no one else to quote except to say that the Jewish community was targeted and that anti-Semitism is real and at a level that is as unacceptable as it is shocking. We don't see those statements here. There seems an unwillingness to report in such a way. I have to interpret it that way for the reasons that I've said, and of course, out of experience. It's difficult to watch and mostly difficult just to be aware that arson against a synagogue is something that happens in that context and the times in which we live. But as I said, I don't want to leave you totally depressed today. Anti-Semitism being a reality in our world and a public reality during this last year, Mark Sandler has been the leader in creating ALCA, the Alliance of Canadians Combating Anti-Semitism, a broad-ranging coalition that Temple Sinai was proud to be a founding member of. And this coalition is truly a coalition in that sense, fighting not just against anti-Semitism, but for a world of respect and law and order and fact that the society we live in is based on. And earlier this week, I was at a gathering hosted by one of our members, by Laura and her husband, at their home, of a number of different members of the Alliance or those connected to that membership. And I was very pleased at that gathering that in addition to a representative of the organization and a Jewish education activist and 2 rabbis, one of which was myself, in addition to that, this dinner included a prominent Canadian Roman Catholic attorney and a Protestant minister from a prominent church in Toronto. It contained also 2 Muslim activists and 2 representatives of the Iranian community here in the Greater Toronto area, as well as a high-profile member of the First Nations community. And all of us were there because of the kind of society that we believe has been bequeathed to us, that earlier generations of all kinds of Canadians fought for, equality and safety before the law, peace, order, and good government, and that we will continue to fight for. But it was a good reminder that we're not alone in doing this. The media not only doesn't report on the event that took place in Australia in any timely way, but it also avoids the kind of messaging that shows that we are not alone. But we don't live in the media, we live in our real life. And it was significant for me this week to be reminded in this concrete way of the kind of real allies and friends that we have in the world, and with whom we must and will continue to strive to make sure that the values upon which our society is based continue to be celebrated and honored, and that we continue to stand up to those who are part of our society and yet oppose those values. We each have our own work to do, and the work that must be done by the IDF to defend the security of the State of Israel against terrorist violence and against those seeking her destruction. We honor those who do that. As was said yesterday at the annual general meeting of UJA Federation, where I had the honor of sharing a few words of blessing at the beginning, the time that it will likely take to continue to respond to and defeat Iran and its proxies will be measured more in years, likely decade, rather than in months. And so we must continue to honor the hard work done by the IDF and the awareness that what they fight for is a need to fight less because of victory for those forces that are for order and mutual respect and coexistence, not for assault and attack. Please join me in this prayer. מי שבירך אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, ואמותינו שרה, רבקה, לאה ורחל, הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל ושאר מגיני עמנו העומדים על משמרתם. ישמרם הקדוש ברוך הוא ויצילם מכל צרה וצוקה ומכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה בכל מעשה ידיהם. ויקוים בהם הכתוב, וכיתתו חרבותיהם לעתים, וחניתותיהם למזמרות, לא יישאו גוי אל גוי חרב, ולא ילמדון עוד מלחמה, וישבו איש תחת גפנו ותחת תאנתו, ואין מחריד, ונאמר אמן. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless the soldiers of the IDF and all who defend our people. May the Holy One guard them against all difficulty and distress, injury, and illness. May all of their actions bring blessing, fulfilling the prophet's words. Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Let nation not lift up sword against nation, and may they learn war no more. May all sit under a vine or fig tree with none to make them afraid, and together we say, Amen. We join together in these words of hope and healing, that all who are injured, whether from conflict, as in abroad, or in any other way, near or far, should be healed, along with those who are ill, those who are going through treatment or fighting through difficult times, for all those who are isolated by the difficulties of health and other challenges, and by those hostages, those who are forcibly isolated in an ongoing everyday crime against humanity. For each of them, for all of them, for the names that are in the Zoom, in the chat, the names that are shared in this service and every other service, the names given to me and given to Temple, for all of them, we turn to these words of refuah. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, ואמותינו שרה, רבקה, לאה ורחל, הוא ירפא את כל מכותינו. יהי רצון מלפניך אדוני אלוהינו, לחל עמם ולרפאותם, וישלח לנו מהרה רפואה שלמה ועטרת שלום, ונאמר אמן. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless and heal all who suffer. May it be the divine will to provide healing and strength. Reveal to us the holiness of life, the wholeness of shalom, and let us say together, Amen. Well, it's wonderful to have you here together, just like it was good to be in person at Temple this morning. And likewise, as I think I mentioned earlier in the service, but I certainly mentioned it in the davening here at Shul as well, that tonight's Friday night meditation service from our Temple Sinai Chapel is available for attendance in person, here to come together and experience the peace of Shabbat as a community, or to join it online. And tomorrow morning, as always, our service is in person, but also available online. Mark Sandler, the founder of ALCA, Alliance of Canadians Combating Anti-Semitism, will be here and speaking briefly at the service, and we'll be giving a longer teaching and question and answer after the service, that which will not be available on live stream. After our service today, likewise, please feel free to join us for the Bring Your Own Bagel Breakfast on a different Zoom link. I don't have it at the moment, but if someone does have it, please go ahead and add it to the chat to make it easier for people to join together. But now we pause and remember, recalling those who died in recent days and weeks, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we've taken into our hearts with our own. In the period of Shloshim, we send our condolences to the families of Florence Wunsch, Helen Binns, Adam Adler, Molly Rosen, Stanley Swartz, Mark Grossman, Helen Schneer, Marion Waldman, Alan Rakowski, Bruce Friedman, Manny Cates. And we remember all victims of war and terror, including terror victims Brian Director, Itai Svirsky, Kalmi Chasson, Mina Chasson, Mohammed Naim, Omer Weinstein, Shmuel Zalman Cohen, Rabbi Tzvi Kogan, and Rabbi Avi Goldberg. And the following IDF soldiers whose lives have been lost in the last 30 days: Itai Malkovich, Omer Maxim Nutra, Yogev Pazi, Yona Betzalel Brief, Ze'ev Erlich, Samuel Bok, Sraya Elboim, Or Katz, Ophir Eliyahu, Neo Gofer, Nave Yair Asulin, Gary Zolat, Dror Chen, Roy Sasson, Omer Moshe Gael Dor, Tamer Osman, Shalev Yitzchak Sagron, Ron Epstein, Gur Kahati, Ivri Dickstein. And on yahrzeit, on the anniversary of their deaths, on this 5th day of the month of Kislev, 6th of December, 2024, we honor the life and legacy on yahrzeit of Frida Carrick, Esther Suker, Saul Pfefferman, Doris Gottlieb, Dave Litvak, Saul Mandelson, Greta Reed, Bernie Shapiro, Benjamin Sheftel, Rebecca Bunny Shum, Carolyn Siskind, Murray Salway. Zichronam Levacha, may their memories be a blessing to us. Our griefs and our sympathies are mingled as we turn together to words sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope, the words of Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemeh rabba, be'alma divrach u'uteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, b'agala u'v'zman kari v'imur, Amen. Yehe shmeh rabba mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemeh dekudsha borichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'alma v'imur. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shmaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imur. Amen. Oseh shalom b'momav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imur. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and bring comfort and strength to all who remember. And together we say, Amen. Thank you, Anita, for posting the meeting number for the Bring Your Own Bagel Breakfast, as well as the password right there of Connect. That's one way in, and I hope everyone who can will be able to join it. But wishing everyone a Boker Tov, a Boker Ol. Please do, if you can, join us tonight in person at 6:30 or online. And tomorrow morning, Shabbat Shalom. Boker